Hey, good morning, everyone. I'm so glad that you all could be here. My name is Kiana Scott. I am the CEO of SmarterHelp. Before I tell you a little bit about SmarterHelp and have our amazing Maverick introduce Legacy EV, one of the panelists, myself and the other two, should just introduce ourselves. So again, my name is Kiana Scott. I am CEO of SmarterHelp. Actually, I'll just tell you about the organization. We are a training, delivery, and curriculum development organization. We work with folks like you all, schools, workforce development organizations, community colleges, utilities, municipalities, all kind of folks. And we partner as as you all train, upskill, and educate folks and prepare them for careers in emerging tech, clean tech, green tech. My background is in secondary and adult education. Another reason why I'm excited to about this partnership is I get to connect on my first love, which is young people. So 23 years there and was 2 years at CharterHelp, and then now starting SmarterHelp with my amazing colleague, Dr. Jessica, and I'll pass it on to her to introduce herself.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Jessica Hutchison. I am the Chief Operating Officer for SmarterHelp, formerly the VP of Learning and Development at CharterHelp. And my background as well is in secondary education and administration, as well as nonprofit management. And I am truly excited to be on this call today to discuss with you guys the wonderful partnership we are embarking on, this new journey with Legacy EV. And I will kick it to my partner, Maverick.
Awesome. Thank you both for the introductions. My name is Maverick. I'm the president and co-founder at Legacy EV. Legacy EV is focused on the workforce transformation for the electric vehicle transition. We mostly support the automotive industry in adopting EV standards and EV training to train the next generation of technicians. My personal background is in education as well. Started out in a program called Teach for America. Never planned on staying in education for as long as I have, but here we are today, many years later, still in education, just as passionate about it as I was from the day I started. So excited to be chatting with you all today about how to introduce EV programming into your work. And I'll pass it back to Kiana to get the presentation kickstarted.
Absolutely. Let's keep going. Our next slide.
All right, there we go. So we're going to be talking about the next generation of EV technicians throughout this presentation and how are we going to address training that workforce. You all are here because you're passionate about this transition and you see it coming. So I don't think we need to spend too much time on this slide, but this is a global shift. It's projected that there's going to be 350 million electric vehicles on the road globally. And there's a massive need for technicians to address that need, both on the vehicle side and on the charger side. And so that's what makes me so excited about this collaboration between Legacy EV and SmarterHelp. We're addressing both sides of that coin. And so, Kiana, anything to add on this slide before we move on to the next one?
No, I mean, I think you said it well. We sit in a great time. We're transitioning into renewable energy. We have awesome opportunity to introduce young people to the education and skills that are needed for them to assume and leverage some of these opportunities. And so this partnership is where we stand to kind of bring that to life as we bring our, our services to school. So yes, we're showing you the need, the opportunity, and now it's time to lock arms. So yeah, we're good. We said it. Let's go.
Awesome. So we're talking about really two pathways here. Sorry, you can go ahead and go back one, Dr. J. We're talking about two pathways here. The first one is how are we addressing the need for automotive technicians? And then second is how are we addressing the need for electric vehicle EVSC service equipment technicians? So I'm going to go first and I'll talk about the pathway for automotive technicians and how do we upskill and reskill technicians in school programs. Next slide. So when we're talking about EV programming, we at Legacy EV believe that the more exposure we can get for students earlier in the talent pipeline, the better. We want to teach them about how cool careers in EVs can be. So for us, that starts all the way back in STEM programming in the middle school age. So we've got our first program, EV Innovators Club, and then that's really tailored towards middle school students, showing them what careers can look like in the EV industry. Students build a 48-volt go-kart together. I'll talk more about that in later slides, but then we stack on to those skills as students go throughout. And so within that talent pipeline, we're really focusing on how are we addressing the need for students, workers who are going to be entering into the workforce when they graduate and should know how to work on EVs. But there's also another subset of workers that we need to be addressing and thinking about how do we upskill and reskill those that are already in the workforce. And so that's kind of the second programmatic sequence that we offer, which is how do we work directly with businesses that have technicians and they need to give them exposure to EV skills so they can also adapt the work that they're doing on vehicles to be ready to work on electric vehicles in addition to gas or diesel. Next slide. And so we're going to talk a little bit about some of these programs and what they look like and how we can partner with you all to help launch EV programs in your school. One core underpinning of all the programs that we offer at Legacy EV is we want everything to be as hands-on as possible. We noticed that when we went to launch programs, when we first started Legacy, that there were a few obstacles to helping instructors lead programming in their schools. The first one was giving instructors the confidence they needed to teach EV programs. This was new to most instructors that were jumping into this to teach. So we wanted to make sure we include robust instructor training to make them feel comfortable and confident to teach these courses. The second was there was no hardware that was used that was brand agnostic to teach about electric vehicles. And so we started designing and manufacturing hardware to assist instructors with teaching these courses in their class. That's like lab equipment that you need to actually go out and get hands-on experience on EVs. It's all brand agnostic so that students can learn the fundamentals. And then the third was curriculum. We wanted to design curriculum that was turnkey, ready to go to ease the burden of instructors teaching this new content. And so you're going to see that underpin in all the programs that we'll talk about today. And with that, we can go ahead and dive into the first one. So next slide for me, Dr. J. This first one's EV Innovators Club. I already talked about this a little bit. This is near and dear to my heart. It goes back to my beginning story in education. I started out in education in middle school. I was a math director at a charter school for several years where I had to lead a team of teachers that was doing all project-based learning curriculum and even actually started building Legacy EV while I was still in that role. And as I was building out like these learning outcomes for technicians that were in industry with our curriculum developers on the Legacy EV team, I couldn't help but see these cross-curricular connections to standards I was even teaching at the middle school level. I was doing multi-step equations, and I was also teaching technicians how to calculate torque of an electric vehicle motor as you pass through the gears and get that torque to the tires. And I was like, this is a great multi-step equation. This would be such an engaging way to teach my students this complex math concept and get them really excited about it. So we leverage all of that really fun and engaging project-based learning into our programs as students build these go-karts they're learning about sprocket sizes, electrical theory. They get to do some programming. They get to do fault diagnostics and all these other really key skills and get excited about what a career could look like in the EV industry. And go ahead and go to the next slide. The next one's Intro to E-Mobility. This is really where we start to get students exposure to what careers look like in the industry. This one's more focused on CTE programs, career technical education for both high school and early college entry-level programs. This is a very fun go-kart. It's a 48-volt system, but it has intense torque right out the gate. So students really get to get behind the wheel of an EV for the first time and experience what it's like to drive. But they also get to learn about programming regen, and how do you make a vehicle more efficient. They get to learn about how different motor systems work, how different controller systems work, all within the context of this smaller vehicle, which is a 48-volt system, making it much more accessible to students. And next slide. And the third program is EV Tech. This is our bread and butter product. This is really focused on training technicians directly. So what you see here on the main slide is a full EV powertrain out on a table. And that makes everything way more accessible to the students. All of the components have glass lids, so students can see into the component boxes. They can see contactors, they can hear them closing, they can see pre-charge circuits and how they're wired and how those need to be enabled to allow voltage to flow throughout the entire system. And so it just makes learning about EVs and accessing all the materials and learning how to do diagnostics within the actual electric vehicle way easier, and it improves speed to mastery so that you're not spending days and days of your class time pulling out a battery from an EV that has everything that's black box, and now you have no power to that system, so you can't actually see how it's working or do any diagnostics. You have to take it apart, put it all back together, and put it in the EV, and just cross your fingers and hope it was done right. Where on the EV training bench, you can see all that and make sure it's being done right in real time. And next slide. And the last one is EV Build. This is actually really where we started the business of Legacy EV. Initially, we started going directly to businesses and teaching them about EVs and how to build them, mostly through vehicle retrofit, so converting cars from gas to electric. And as we started training more technicians, we started building these programs to be applicable in the school setting as well. And I got to tell you, there's no more exciting way to learn about EVs than taking a really cool, classic, iconic car and now making it run more reliably than ever on battery electric power, getting all that instant torque available right out the gate, and also having this very unique, like one-of-one vehicle. It makes students super excited to learn about EVs, and it's a very fun capstone style project. So we put this at the end of our programmatic sequence because we feel like it requires the most comprehensive knowledge, but it also gives students an opportunity to like really showcase what they've learned. So it's a great way to really like put a nice bow on the EV programming for schools that we work with. Next slide. And now we'll talk a little bit about that second subset of training programs that I talked about in the beginning of this EV training pathway, which is training the current workforce. So up till now, we were talking about how are we working with schools to help prepare them to build out this next generation of workers. But what about the workers of today that are out there already working on vehicles, whether that's heavy duty equipment or light duty EVs? How do we work with them to get them access to the training they need to work on electric vehicles? Next slide. So for us, the first step is always safety. It's high voltage safety training. We offer 2 different high voltage safety courses that both meet and train to ASE's XEV1 and XEV2 high voltage standards. Really, ASE XEV1 standards are built to create electrical awareness. So anyone that works in a business that has high voltage equipment around should understand basic electrical awareness. Could be anyone from a sales tech or someone working at the front desk to someone that's working on facilities. They should understand really what are the inherent dangers of high voltage technology and what does it look like to understand and comprehend what emergency response protocols are for high voltage incidents. And so ASEV XEV1, that's like a online course. ASE's governing body for automotive standards. They've come out with these XEV1 standards that are great guidance, and our programs teach to that. Students who complete that test will automatically get their badge from ASE. And then the XEV2 standard is more for the technicians, where it's going beyond just electrical awareness, but it's going around procedural safeties for working on electrical vehicles. So how do you make sure that you've de-energized the system appropriately, zero voltage verified, when do you need to use a Faraday bag, all of these different, kind of complex, nuanced ways of working on a vehicle that has high voltage in it. And then getting that XEV2 badge as well when you're done with that program. So, one thing that we say about EVs, we don't want to be like fear mongering, but like you can't hear, you can't smell, you can't really see electricity like you can with fuel. And so it's a different type of danger that automotive technicians aren't used to working around. And so we just need to make sure that they're given the right tools and the right safety protocols to be able to work on these systems and do so safely. And so XEV1 and XEV2 prepare technicians on the workforce today to be able to do that. And next slide. Well, safety is super important. The safety programs don't really go into like the component level knowledge of EV systems. So our EV fundamentals bootcamp is designed to go beyond just the safety and really teach about the components. Like how do you actually go and work on these systems? What does each component do? How do they work together? How do they interact? Why do they exist? And why are they important in a system? So you're learning about things like ground fault monitors for the first time. And you're learning and actually seeing like EVs have a floating high voltage chassis. So it's not actually grounded to the chassis. And so how do you make sure that you're not losing that isolation of that high voltage system in real time on real chassis on these vehicles? And next slide. And so with that, I'm going to pass it back over to Kiana and Dr. J. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining today. And we'll stick around for some Q&A here in a little bit.
Thank you, Maverick. I hope you all can tell the subject matter expertise is in the room. The backdrop in education is one I totally appreciate. And one of the things, Maverick, that you said which is where we are kind of shifting from, is the current workforce. And so as we talk about EVSE, which stands for, I have to be acronym free, electric vehicle supply equipment. And as we introduce SmarterHelp, one of the things I want you all to, just as I share more about us, is we're actually shifting or adding to, we've come from the workforce development side, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But we are working with the current workforce. So we're upskilling, training, retraining folks that are currently in the automotive space or just looking to get a career in the EVSE lane. We are realizing as we go and grow in this space that will be between 7 and 9 million net new jobs produced from the renewable energy transition. 40% of them will not require a college degree, which means there's prime opportunity for career and technical education, right? But when we survey the landscape for our CTE curriculum, there's not a lot present. So our students are, in a sense, missing out and can stand to miss out. So it's another reason why there's such urgency around this curriculum adoption and this opportunity to provide our students and our kids with the education and the training for application in this space. Two pictures here you see is a live EVSE training classroom. I think we literally just finished this about 2 weeks ago. And so just wanted you to see what a room looks like. So you see the PPE, you see level 2s and level 3s in the back. Folks have their wire on the table. It is a real live hands-on great marriage of content and kinesthetic tactile, use my teacher language, learning opportunities so folks can experience adjacent to what the field service technician role is. And so they hear it, they touch it, they interact with it. Next slide, please. And so one thing I want to talk about, subject matter expertise. I know for as we adopt or consider adopting curriculum, knowing that who you're buying from, in a sense, knowing that they know what they know is solely important. And so the space that we sit in most specifically is electric vehicle supply equipment. SmarterHelp provides a variety of curriculum, but the one that we're partnering with Maverick and Legacy EV is the electric vehicle supply equipment. And so I want to share a little bit about how we got to this curriculum. The curriculum was birthed in 2020 by Camille Terry, CEO of ChargerHelp. She worked for OEM at that time, and charging stations were failing. However, they were reporting that it was up and running on her side. So the user experience and the data were not in sync. And so she realized very quickly that it was a software issue. And so she created a curriculum. Curriculum was piloted at Los Angeles Clean Tech Incubator and was in use for about 2 years. And then the Society of Automotive Engineers got hold of it and said, hey, charging stations are hitting the ground. EVs are hitting the ground. What is the standard body of knowledge that folks need to know to be able to provide operations and maintenance on charging stations? And so they took that curriculum and got all these subject matter experts in the room. There's some that I'm missing, but Rivian, Tesla, ABB, ChargePoint, Siemens, Electrify America, Walmart, more, and then also ChargerHelp's curriculum. We met over the course of about 8 months. We met about 2 or 3 times a month, and the culminating body of that meeting is the body of knowledge, and it's on SAE's website, and so it is there. What is great is we go to the next slide. About this curriculum is that the 5 domains that were originated through ChargerHelp actually remained. And so what industry said is that, hey, you know what you're doing, you're on the right track, you're going in the right direction. The 2 things that were added are the first 2, electrical safety and codes and electrical energy fundamentals. EVSE is a curriculum that sits in electrification, transportation, and to what Maverick just mentioned earlier, we do need to make sure that we're teaching safety. We do need to make sure that folks understand bidirectional current. We do need to make sure that folks understand just the concept of electricity and how it works. It also supports their growth as they roam around the electrification transportation field, if you will. But the other 5 are all still the original curriculum from ChargerHelp. This is a picture of one of our classes, folks working on a level 3. Next slide, please. I'll pass on to Dr. J to talk about this.
So our current training for EVSC is now, in partnership with Legacy EV, has been transformed into a high school and early college curriculum to support CTE courses. So we're using all of our practice, our field knowledge, all of our data and experience to transform this course to support a CTE classroom. So we're looking at high schools, early college. We'll go through all of the domains that Kiana just mentioned, and our training starts from theory, but we quickly move into practical application. And so you can look for the course to kind of marry and have some symmetry between Legacy EV, CTE course, and then falling into the EVSE course. What we're looking at here is ensuring that young people and early college students are actually able to progress from EV, knowing everything it takes to really manage and support an electric vehicle, straight into the asset, to the EVSE. So we go from car to charging station. And so you're looking at a very comprehensive program that not only comes with curriculum, teacher training, and then supplemental lab aids that support the learning. And I can split this with Josh or Maverick if you like. But one of the things that we know is important is, okay, our young people, they have the education, they have the experience. We're giving them this awesome learning opportunity right there in their school. To be industry ready, you also need to be certified. And so these courses are not without industry recognized certifications. On the EVSE side, students who complete the course will have their OSHA 10 or their OSHA 30 certification. They will also have a certification. We put LOTO, and in teacher field, we all love to use acronyms, but I'm going to take a step back and just make sure we're all on the same page. LOTO is lockout, tag out, so they ensure that they know how to properly de-energize and lock out a high voltage electrical system. They're also going to get high voltage safety certification, ensuring, like Maverick was saying, that safety top priority. You need to know how these assets work and how you can get electrocuted and how we want to refrain from that. So they get a certification in that aspect as well. And then one of the things that the SmarterHelp course is really designed to do is ensure that we are preparing our students who complete successfully for the SAE exam. There is an industry recognized exam for EVSC, and those who successfully go through the course are really primarily ready to sit for this exam and pass it. I can kick it over to you, Maverick or Joss, if you'd like to talk about the certifications on the EV side.
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about the certifications on the EV side. I think I did a little bit in previous slides as well, so I'll just do a quick summary here. But we teach the ASE XEV 1 and 2, as well as the ASE L3 in our bootcamp and EV Tech program. And then there's also a standardizing organization that we helped found before any of those standards were released, called the EVSC, the Electric Vehicle Standards Council. We put a group of 12 industry members on the board to oversee, draft, amend, and ratify standards quarterly that help guide what an EV technician should know to be considered like a knowledgeable EV technician to work safely on these vehicles. And so we also teach the EVSC standards as well. And then we have a Legacy EV HVL1 and HVL2 standard that requires physical demonstrations that are in line with ASE XEV 1 and 2, but our standards really just go a little bit beyond that and require physical demonstrations of the skills that you've learned in those programs.
Very nice. Thank you.
Before we go, can you go back to that slide really quickly? One of the things I want to point out about this slide, this slide is so exciting. One, because right now you see a lot of OEMs that are, hey, if you, oh my gosh, car dealers, there goes my acronym, original equipment manufacturers. But you see your GMs or your Fords, folks that are saying like, hey, if you buy our EV, we'll also give you a level 2 and we'll have it installed in your home. And so you have an opportunity for folks. When we talk about schools, no one likes to say this, but schools literally are the largest workforce development body in the world. If we're doing nothing, we're preparing folks to get careers so that they can, sustain themselves and have a gainful, livable wage and income. And so this is an opportunity where you have, hey, a young person considering this space can learn on the car, get the certifications for the car, also transfer that knowledge, go straight to the EVSC, the charging station, and how much more viable are their employment opportunities? How much more formidable are they in this space if they have knowledge and certifications on both sides? And so I just wanted to mention that. Let's go to the next slide.
So go ahead,
Hannah. No, you go ahead. I'm sorry. That is
Yeah.
you.
For SmarterHelp, and like we are definitely are like Kiana had mentioned, we've been doing this work in the workforce development space and are transferring our knowledge and all of our wonderfulness into the CTE space for young people. We are not without a handful, and I would say we're more than a handful now of amazing partners all over the country that have supported our work, but also have been very integral in ensuring that we are preparing the workforce for tomorrow. So we've kind of listed a few here. I'm sure we've missed a whole lot, but we wanted to make sure that everyone understood that we do value the partnerships, but that we're coming really ready to say, hey, the industry is watching, the workforce is really saying that this is a need, and what better way than to start preparing our younger folks to ensure that they're ready for these careers of tomorrow. So in addition to what SmarterHelp will be doing at our schools through the CTE program, we also are supporting a variety of other training and curriculum initiatives through our products at our company. I'll go through the first couple and then I'll kick it over to you, Kiana. But as we are speaking, we're speaking of our first product is what we call E-Academy. And those are really our training courses. CTE course will be one. We offer a variety. I like to say there's about 18 of them that we are actually offering right now that include our CTE course for our high school and our early college, but also we do battery energy storage training, we do energy fundamentals, we do micro mobility, and there are all these other spaces that are career adjacent and aligned that people really want to start getting trained on now. We need to get the workforce ready. And so we are really very staunch on making sure that we are preparing people, ensuring that knowledge is there, but also that the transfer and the application. I heard Maverick mention like these skills demonstrations. You're not going to take a SmarterHelp, and it sounds like a legacy EV course without some level of demonstrating the skill to ensure that you really know how to do the job. And so we do that through our E-Academy courses. The second one is Energy Compass. SmarterHelp, we've been in this space developing training. We developed, like as Kiana mentioned, the first EVSE course curriculum in the nation. And so we can kind of continue that forward with ensuring that we are supporting companies, new burgeoning companies with developing curriculum. What we found is, I mean, I'm literally sitting in a space now with wonderful minds here in Detroit at New Lab. These people are creating amazing products and ideas for the future. And just because you are a visionary in that space doesn't mean you know how to create curriculum that supports your product. And so SmarterHelp has said, you know what, we'll do it for you. And so we do that through our Energy Compass curriculum development product. Companies come to us, they're new, they're burgeoning. Sometimes they're old. I mean, there's a partner of ours that's in the electric school bus operation, and they've come to us for support in developing their curriculum that supports their initiatives. And so we do that through our Energy Compass product. Kiana?
Of course. Last two, BE Ready and Energy Bridge. BE Ready, I'd say, is where we sit on this call, right? So this offering is specifically for K-12. This curriculum we offer, as Dr. Jessica mentioned, from elementary school all the way to high school. More specifically, though, we really want to activate the CTE side. But this is curriculum that reflects, again, renewable energies, and the opportunity here is for K-12 to introduce it into their schools so that our students have awareness, have introduction, and have access to what is happening in climate and in climate tech, that they know the careers that are coming. I'm a reader, so I'm going to share this fact with y'all. Fast Company did a study not too long ago and said that Gen Zers, which are younger than me years, but that's okay, are super excited and interested in climate and careers in climate, are even concerned about holding their employers accountable about their carbon imprint and the impact that we can make as we talk about just greenhouse gas emissions, decarbonization, things like that. And the other part of that study said, and a nice number of them are really interested in getting a career in this space, but only 1 out of 10 of them knew where to go. They had no idea. And this span from even their parents. And a lot of times we go to our career counselors and our parents for direction on careers, but there's this huge opportunity here, but there's not a lot of information, insight, and platforms that folks can access to help them gain awareness and also just to capitalize on the learnings that would help them get into the space. And so K-12 again, I say it again, we help young people get careers and get jobs. And so this product is for you. And the Energy Bridge is for employers and for our workforce development partners. The language that we use around, I can't say it, but I'm going to say it, what some folks call green careers or renewable energy careers, or just careers that are coming up in this burgeoning new economy, if you will. A lot of times folks don't know the language. These certifications that Maverick just listed, I would guess there's about half of us on here on this call that didn't know what that was. And so how do we stand up our workforce development partners? How do we stand up our career counselors in our high schools? How do we empower them with the language so that they can help our young people and older folks, but traverse this space, direct them to go where they need to get the certifications. But if I don't even know what that is, we have trained folks again in our workforce development side for careers in the renewable energy space or renewable or energy transition space, and to find out later that they got a job as a security guard. That was simply not, it wasn't because the opportunity wasn't there, it's because the education wasn't. The employer knew what he knew. I'm sorry, not the employer, the career developer knew what he knew. And so he saw the job. I know, what I say, security guard. Thank you.
Gotcha.
My words. I know that space, so I'm going to funnel our new graduate from this energy program. I'm going to funnel them there, and so this is to help stand up our employers who are here to support trainees and graduates in the renewable energy or renewable transition space, to help them be more effective, more accurate, more impactful as they place and as they place and prepare folks for careers in the space.
All right, so we're at the question and answer portion. I believe there are a few questions in the chat. I'm happy to read off some and kind of shoot them at you guys. And if anybody wants to come off mic and respond, let's just see here.
I've been looking at the questions for a minute, Dr. J. So I see one at the top here. I can throw out an answer. Someone said, I think my auto tech students would be the best to grab this, but I think they would have to want to try this first to warrant the investment. I'm reading into this a little bit to get to the question. I think the question is there a way to like test this out or to try it? And I would say reach out to us. We'll throw up a QR code here on the next slide in a little bit. We might have a school near you where maybe like you could take your students out to like a school that's close by to go try out the equipment. We here in Arizona host schools all the time where they can like come by and see us and have their students go for a ride on the cart. We do some mini lessons with them just to show them like this is what you could do. And I think it's a great way to just gauge if your students have the appetite for a program like this. And so I totally agree. Like before you go buying equipment and starting to set up programs, you want to make sure there's student body interest. So I think that's a great mindset to have before getting started.
I do see someone mention that there needs to be parallel solar training. You are absolutely correct. If you reach out, I have a couple partners in mind that are also offering solar panel installation training, more so on the workforce development side through community colleges, but nonetheless doing the work, and would definitely entertain conversations around partnering there.
It's a comment, but I'll also address it too kind of as a question, but further understanding and standardizing storage systems for cars and homes should be important for everyone to learn. Totally agree. Especially like long-term storage for EV batteries is really important. Even I think in Tesla's manual, at a certain point, you're supposed to actually disconnect the high voltage battery. And so just like, that's something that not a lot of people know. And so just making sure batteries are expensive. You're taking care of them when you store them for a long time is important. So I think that's an important part to learn about as well. It's something that we touch on in our trainings too.
Someone asked, I love this question. What happens to an electric car that runs out of power on the road? Is there a portable solution to bring to power? One company that comes to mind, I would call them the AAA of charging, Spark Charge. That literally is their business model, to show up when a car runs out of charge, if you will, and they bring charging to you. I know they're actually trying something out for portable batteries that would go with you, but that is the one that I know of right now.
And I see lots of questions about the price tag, the kit, the investment that's required for our programs. I would love to push people towards using this QR code to schedule some time to meet with us so we can talk over the specificity of your school program and your needs and really make sure we hone in on all of the requirements for the course and the price tag and things like that. So I have it up on the screen if you can take a snapshot of that. If you guys want to take about 2 more questions here, there's quite a few. And what we can also do is maybe after the call, just respond to them. And I think that I'll be able to send them out to anyone who has questions post-call.
Cool. I see here, is there a huge investment beyond the parts? That's one question. Not really. The parts are the most expensive part. There's instructor training and then student like curriculum, but all that's in range with what you'd expect it to be. And so, yeah, it's really parts are the expensive part. And then the second question I saw was, do you recommend a car for the EV build course? The Vita Bug is what's pictured. Vita bugs are the most common EV swaps. So there's the most like off-the-shelf parts available for mounts and brackets. Typically, when you do an EV build course, the most complicated part is just building your own motor mounts and brackets for your battery boxes. So finding kits that have that built is key. And so we have a few systems like that. So there's kits for Volkswagen Bugs, Porsches, Land Rover Defenders, Broncos, C10s. And then, of course, these vary by year a little bit, but those are some of the most common vehicles to do where there's some pre-made motor mounts and pre-made brackets for battery boxes.
There's a question here about will SmarterHelp be primarily focusing on providing training in-house or helping others to set up training? And so this course for our CTE course will be helping to stand up the offering in your school. So the teacher will be trained, materials and things that support the curriculum. That investment will be made as a part of entering it into your classroom setting. And so you guys will have everything you need to be successful post your investment into the program.
There's a question here about pre-apprenticeship or apprenticeship. I will offer that we are in conversation. I'd say we are even having some incipient steps being taken towards that direction. The one thing that I will offer, and I think Maverick even hinted on it, particularly with EVSC, the space is very new. Technology is changing, new equipment's coming out, and so it is more, I'm gonna say more important. It is very important that we keep a pulse on it. When we talk about the apprenticeship space, it is very standardized, stable, formalized, and kind of done, if you will. This is very new and emerging. And for us, we even make sure, much like Maverick mentioned, that we keep a pulse on what the data is saying about the field experience so that we iterate and reiterate our curriculum accordingly. And so I think while we are keeping a line open, we are having talks about it. We just want to make sure that when we open that door, the body of knowledge is very accurate and supports and is in agreement and alignment with the field service technician role. Because again, we want to put people in the job, and it is a job that they can do based on the training that they got. But I hear you, I see your thinking, and we are headed in that direction.
Okay, I think I see a couple more questions. Apologies, trying to get to all of them. But I see someone here asking, is there a golf cart conversion upgrade kit that would allow all the parts while minimizing the basic platform? So there's no like specific kit designed for that. I would say if you went through our boot camp, there's enough components of a kit that you could make something work for that. It's actually something that I'm personally trying to do right now. I'm trying to find a really cheap old golf cart and like convert one myself. So if I figure that out, I'll make sure to make it live as a kit offering.
Where are the instructor trainings available? Arizona, at Legacy EV's amazing facility. And SmarterHelp also has a couple different training facilities across the nation, so we can kind of support where you are. But our goal is to, as we partner, to run training for instructors through the Legacy EV facility.
See some questions on funding here and then DOL standards. So does it meet US DOL standards for apprenticeship? I think the registered apprenticeships in the early stages for development right now. I think we're working on like getting that pathway recognized federally through the DOL, but that's still in the early stages. Something that I think once gains traction, that will happen quickly. Josh, you might be better positioned to answer this than me. Is there a move to have Legacy EV training as a Perkins supported funding program?
Yeah, I can jump in on that. And I realize I'm chiming in for the first time here, so I'll introduce myself quickly. I'm Josh McDonald. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer at Legacy EV. So primarily partner with all of our academic institutions and help them get this integrated into their schools and into their curriculum. This is a complicated question because Perkins is complicated, but the short of it is yes, in most states. I would say if you have a specific state that you're looking to access Perkins funding through, we should definitely talk about it. There's typically an approval process that we have to go through, but I am happy to say we have programs that are fully funded through Perkins funding. So we do have access to those. The other common funding pools, I would say, are statewide grant programs. For example, if you're in the state of Illinois, they have a great program called the Rev Up program. California has had some CARB programs, among some others, that have helped fund some of these different curriculum initiatives. And the third, I would say, too, that maybe doesn't always come to mind, but is industry partners. So for a lot of our schools that have a large industry presence, partnering with, if you have an LG plant or a Panasonic plant, or maybe you have, in our case, we have good partnerships with Rivian and some of the other manufacturers. They're looking for ways to help build out their talent pipeline. And a lot of times they have dollars allocated to help support their local workforce development needs. So if you have those industry connections, I would definitely reach out to them too, because they can be a great source of dollars, especially in the early pilot phase, to create a proof of concept where you can then go and seek larger grant opportunities or even Perkins funding opportunities. But good question.
Okay, I think we've done our best, team, unless anybody else has any new questions popping up towards the bottom to answer most of these. It says, oh, there's one that just popped in. Which unions have you worked with to align curriculum and standards? Anyone like to take that one?
Yeah, I think we're yeah, I can answer that one. I think we're early in that process. I think the EV and the EV charger both kind of intersect and diverge from both unions on the automotive side and electrical side. So working together with them as closely as we can to make sure we're aligned. But I don't think any unions have adopted any specific training programs that either of us have put together yet at this point.
And I'll add to that too, of just not in the formal sense, right? I think that's what you're hinting at with that last piece. But we do actively involve them in the conversations as we're starting to develop new programs, or even improve existing programs, right? Because we want to be on the good list when it comes to the unions. We don't want to be on the naughty list. So we definitely reach out proactively and have them involved as much as possible, so that they certainly have a say in what they want to see from a union standpoint, and then also what industry is telling us. We don't want to create programs in isolation. We want to make sure we're bringing together all the stakeholders and consider what's most important for them to create the most robust program possible.
No, for sure. I'd say for us, we've worked with electricians from IBEW. I think more specifically 11 in California, maybe there's some others. One, to kind of help the messaging around on the EVSE side, because a lot of folks think that operations and maintenance technicians do installation, and we have to be very clear in our delivery that that is reserved only for an electrician. That is in the ground is electrician. Above ground is O&M, operations and maintenance. And even there's a certain point where we stop. If we say, hey, like this this part of the job is for an electrician. It's very rare, but nonetheless, when it happens, we do. And so we work with a group called Treehouse. They're a group of electricians, and would support like, hey, they're the installation side, and then we would pick up on the O&M. We would love to, as we hear a lot about the projected shortage of electricians. We want to, and I think this would be a great opportunity to consider even partnering to say, let's be a feeder, let's be a pipeline to help people get their feet wet with the electrician role, and then kind of pipeline them into apprenticeship or pre-apprenticeship opportunities, especially as we wait or in the beginning stages of formalizing our own pre-apprenticeship and apprenticeship role. IBW integration would be great. Yes, well, contact us. I would love for us to partner. There's a question from the Miami-Dade College. I would say, because I think it's going to be a more comprehensive response. Tahimi, I hope I'm saying your name right. Please make sure that you reach out, that we both can let you know about some of our partners in the community college space. Legacy EV has a ton, and we've partnered with Pasadena City College, Baton Rouge Community College. We have a upcoming partnership with state universities of New York and their community college side, all on to your point, the non-credit or the continued ed side, and then Legacy EV is roots in there as well. So please just reach out.
Yeah, I saw that one too, and I was like, I was really gonna point her or him, I don't know, to the QR code. But with that being said, I would love to kind of remind everyone to please use the QR code to set aside some time if you are interested in either the EV or the EVSE programs. You want more details, specifics. We would love to schedule some time to just talk to you and make sure that we answer all of your questions about our programs. QR code is on the screen. I want to give people some time back today if there are no more pressing questions. And we really look forward to speaking and working with you all. Any other things, Josh, Kiana, Maverick? I think Maverick might have.
No. Yes, Maverick has to go.
Yes.
Yeah, Maverick's got a talk at a conference that he's running to, but yeah, right. Want to thank everybody for their time today. If you have any follow-up questions or interests, like Kiana and Dr. J said, please feel free, reach out through the QR code. If you want to connect with SmarterHelp too, I'm happy to make those connections. I've already seen some folks starting to reach out, which is great. Excited to figure out how we can bring this to more schools and more students across the country to help really support this talent transformation. So again, thank you so much for the time today.
Thank you. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.